So, breaking news, which we barely give breaking news when we be recording the pod. It just never happens. Head coach, Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach, Bruce Arians is stepping down as the coach of the Buccaneers and is taking a role in the front office as a senior consultant. It's interesting considering the fact that was like kind of all of a sudden. Um, Bruce Arians, as the head coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, was 31-18. Reached the playoffs two times and ended up getting one Super Bowl victory back in 2020. Now, I feel like a lot of folks don't give Bruce Arians a lot of credit, and I'm going to elaborate on that in just a second. But it also says that defensive coordinator Todd Bowles will take over as the team's head coach, and Todd Bowles will receive a new 5-year contract as the head coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay, so let's get let me I'm about to give Bruce Arians his credit here because a lot of people don't don't respect him in this aspect. Well, don't even know about this is specific aspect. The fact that at one point in time, he had 10 minority coaches on his staff and also had 2 female coaches on his staff as well. Now, why is that a big deal? Because of the fact of the big old discrepancy about the Rooney Rule, how it's almost impossible for minority coaches to get head coaching jobs, and for us to turn around and look at Bruce Arians stepping down and already had the successor already in play with Todd Bowles. That's pretty phenomenal. That's pretty phenomenal. But looking at Todd Bowles, his resume. He had the interim head coaching job with the Miami Dolphins, coached them 3 games, spent some time in New York. As far as his overall head coaching record, it's 26-41. Not very good, but come on now. The Jets, the Jets have just been a dumpster fire for God knows how long. I feel like that's a little bit like it goes into the stereotype for minority head coaches. They basically have to come in and take the worst jobs for them to get opportunities. And I feel like that was a perfect example of that, of Todd Bowles just coming in and just taking over the New York Jets, who just are just not a good franchise, or just not a good franchise. Now, again, it's interesting considering the fact that Tom Brady just announced that he's unretired, and there's been speculation about the tension in the locker room between excuse me, Bruce Arians and Tom Brady. Obviously, they denied those allegations, but it's definitely interesting. Now, now one of the reasons, well, it says that Bruce Arians was contemplating retirement anyway, and because of the fact that Tom Brady is coming back, he wanted to set the franchise on a pace where it wouldn't be in the stone age. I'm emphasizing on that one. Like, we don't want to leave the franchise in flux. So so basically he's setting up Todd Bowles for a situation now that Tom Brady is unretired, where he can be where he can be in a successful situation for people to, making an assumption here, for people to see, which mean which means other general managers, owners around the league, that minority head coaches can do it. But you already know what the stereotype is going to be. Oh, well, you had Tom Brady, so really, how much credit do you really deserve to have? But maybe I'm just giving Bruce Arians a little bit too much credit on this whole situation as far as the whole transitioning aspect of Todd Bowles. But I gotta respect him for it. Like, he's real. We just went over the 10 minority head coaches and the 2 female coaches. Like, Bruce Arians is all about giving minorities an opportunity. All about giving minorities an opportunity. Now, it was interesting. It was interesting because, like, I remember it was a couple weeks ago. It was Antonio Brown on the Pivot podcast. And one of the specific conversations that they had was about Antonio Brown's relationship with Bruce Arians. Now, Bruce Arians did not shy away from, cursing out his players. That's his style of coaching. But I want to get back to the interview on the Pivot where Antonio Brown stated that for some particular reason and Bruce Arians and him just did not get along. So I kind of feel like the tension between those two kind of like had a little bit to do with the tension going on with Tom Brady. Now that's just a speculation because it 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 it's been stated that nobody wanted Antonio Brown in Tampa Bay but Tom Brady. And I kind of feel like Tom Brady went to bat for Antonio Brown. And I'm sure there were some things in the organization that he wasn't exactly on board with too as well, which probably led into his retirement. And I'm assuming when it came down to Tom Brady unretiring, I think it had to have been a conversation between some people close to Bruce Arians and Tom Brady about Bruce is talking about retiring. Did you want to come back for another year? And then like we want to make our last dance, I guess. Maybe. This is all just speculation for me right now, but it's definitely interesting. Just out of the blue, Bruce Arians is done as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach and is going to take a front office job.
Nah, for the Bay. Nah, for the Bay. We don't care what you say. Nah, for the Bay. Nah, for the Bay. Nah, for the Bay. We ain't hearing what you say. Nah, for the Bay. Fire!